Is the A to Z podcast. Expert insights on leadership, business, real estate, investing, and growth.
Many strategic plans, they are on a shelf and eating dust. Those strategic plans that are activated, many of them, they may struggle to translate intention into results. In today's conversation, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you 3 mistakes a lot of teams and organizations are making that is depriving them to enjoy and gain strategic edge. The first one is the thinking. The things that you do before the main thing, before the actual strategic plan, is equally important, even more important than the actual strategic planning session. Let me explain. If you are thinking the same way, if you are thinking tactically, it doesn't matter the kind of strategic plan you're going to come up with. You know the saying, if we are doing the same thing again and again, what happens? It is insanity because we don't achieve different results. Let's take critical thinking. Critical thinking means you question your existing beliefs, assumptions, perspectives. You go back and review your mission, your vision, your core values, and also the strategies that you have used. In this case, you're not thinking linearly. You're thinking critically so that you evaluate whether your mission is still relevant, whether you are aligned with your North Star, whether your vision is clear and achievable or not, whether the most important things that should be respected in your organization, the non-negotiables, are respected or not. Strategic thinking also requires you to go beyond the tactical, from the immediate thinking. You go back and review the previous strategies. Did they give you some advantage? If not, those strategies are worthless. And therefore, you have to think now strategically to come up with real strategies that are going to give you strategic edge. Here is one stumbling block before I continue to the next discussion. People confuse a strategy with goal and vision, but they're different. A strategy is a tough choice that you make, which determines the kind of audience you're going to have, target groups you're going to have, the kind of products and services that you need to produce, the price tag, your brand, how you present yourself, what matters the most for you. If your strategy is not dictating these tough choices, it's not a strategy. It may be a goal, it may be a vision. And therefore, it doesn't matter the kind of strategic plan you come up with unless you straighten up what a strategy means. If you have been thinking critically and strategically, when the time comes to sit down and come up with a strategic plan, you already have advantage. You're going to get strategic edge. Now, each group, each organization and team, they have their own strategic and critical thinking blueprint. Whenever I go for strategic planning sessions, the first thing I do is I don't know whether that team or organization have been thinking critically and strategically, and therefore I take them back to review their mission, vision, core values, and the strategies they have used. It could take maybe an hour or less. The goal is I want the team to be in the zone, in the critical and strategic thinking mode. I want them to question assumptions, beliefs, and perspectives that they have. I want them to come out from the box they have been. Because at the end of the day, when you come up with your strategic plan, you want to think out of the box. That's how you gain strategic advantage. The second mistake is the way they set up the strategic planning session. Just to give you an idea, some teams and organizations, what they do is they may have 1 day, 2 day, or 3 day strategic session among the top leaders. And then during retreat for a half day or 1 day, they share the strategic plan, the draft one, and they gather inputs and help their team to understand the strategic plan and gather feedback from them how to implement it effectively. Some organizations, however, they want to bring everyone in the room. They take 1 day, 2 day, or 3 days, and they think strategically and critically together to come up with the draft strategic plan. The choice is up to you. If you have a large number of staff and employees, it's almost impossible to bring everyone. And the setup going to be very, very difficult. And therefore, the top leadership, the strategic planning team may come up with a draft, bring it to the team, to the entire team, to incorporate their inputs and their feedback to make sure that the strategic plan is implementable, because the people on the ground, they know more than the top leadership what works, what doesn't work. But once you decide how you're going to set it up, whether among the top leadership or the entire team, you want to make sure that people have the opportunity to share their ideas. Sometimes what I see is that the way the brainstorming session is configured allows some people, some loud people, assertive people, to talk more, depriving other team members not to share more. In this case, for example, you may come up with some strategies. For example, what I normally do is for the first round, I give people sticky notes. And I want them to write what they think in a quiet space. Nobody is influencing them. They may come up with some creative ideas other people may not be thinking about. Once we gather all of these sticky notes, we put them on the board or on the flip chart, then maybe I may open for a larger group discussion to consolidate and shorten the list. That way, at least everybody got a chance to share their ideas. This is very important to the team members because they feel like they're part of the strategic plan. They own it, plus for the organization. Some of the people, if they don't share with you, you may miss a lot from them. They may have great and creative ideas that you want to consider in your strategic plan. The way you set it up is very important. Another thing during the strategic planning session, which a lot of organizations are making mistake, is choosing the right strategic planning tool. The most common strategic planning tool used is SWOT. It's easy, yes, but if you don't use it properly, it doesn't deliver. For example, if you have a 3 years or 5 years strategic plan, SWOT is not appropriate. You may need other strategic planning tools. If you are going for 10 years, 20 years, now you need scenario planning. The setup should be totally different. Some of you may be rolling your eyes. Easy, are you kidding me? The world is changing like that. Are you talking about a strategic plan for 10 years, 20 years? Yes. It may not apply to you if you're a small company, but think about a university. A university should project into the future, 20, 30, even beyond that, to anticipate the kind of marketplace they will be facing and the kind of students they need to produce and the kind of content and research they should do for the next decade or more. Think about car companies. Many of the cars that you see, the exotic cars that you see, they were projected, they were initiated decades ago. I'm sure many car companies right now, they're working on some projects that may be displayed and revealed 10 years from now. The point is, depending on your organization, your industry, you have to choose the right strategic planning tool. That determines your result. Since I'm talking to small businesses, and small teams, SWOT works. But the way you do SWOT should be very, very strategic. You want to make sure that people think very critically out of the box when they come up with those strengths, weaknesses, weaknesses, threats, and opportunities. Most importantly, you have to complement it with another tool, which is TOWS, which helps you to, for example, how to leverage your strength, or how do you overcome your weaknesses, and so on and so forth. And also, you want to make sure that the result you get from that conversation, that brainstorming, should be evaluated to see whether they are implementable or not. At the end of the day, when you are crafting a strategic plan, what you're doing is you're coming up with some strategies and tactics that you could use to see results down the road. The third and the final mistake I want to share is implementation. High-performing teams and organizations, they are effective not just in thinking critically and strategically, and not just coming up with implementable strategic plans. They're effective in translating the plan into results, which means they find a way to track their progress. They measure their success on a daily, on a weekly, at least on a quarterly basis. Organizations that don't do that, what happens? They think about the strategic plan they did, let's say, a year ago when they are planning to have another retreat. Or they may ask, okay, what is our strategic plan? What have we done based on that strategic plan? Down the road, like 6 months, or when they prepare for the next strategic plan. However, those high-performing teams and organizations, they don't allow that to happen. Two things I want to suggest how they do it. The first one is they come up with initiatives. This can help them overcome one important challenge that a lot of organizations have. Think about it. An organization, a team, they are already busy. Their plate is already full. And they don't have time, energy, and resources to add up additional responsibilities to translate the strategic plan into results. In most cases, the strategic plan going to be set aside and it may eat dust on a shelf. But these high-performing teams and organizations, they come up with initiatives, a few initiatives. And then what they do is they assign people, and then they have meetings. It could be every week or every 2 weeks, or it could be every month or every quarter, depending on the project. And the strategic planning team that leads the strategic planning process gonna get reports from these leaders of these initiatives. If something is not going the way it's planned, they make changes, they adopt. If things are going right, great, they reinforce. They don't wait for another quarter or another year to see whether the plan is working or not. They see results right there. Another thing they do is they come up with some metrics, and they have a dashboard where everybody could be able to see the progress they're making. They may use KPIs or maybe OKRs, objectives and key results. Whichever works for you, you could use one of them, but some organizations use both or one of them. Since they have metrics, they could be able to see what's going on. They could be able to see whether things are going the way they planned. In conclusion, you can have strategic edge. You can have strategic advantage if you overcome these three mistakes a lot of organizations and teams are making. The first one is you want to engage in critical and strategic thinking. You want to question the existing assumptions, beliefs, and perspectives, and the strategies that you have used. And you want to be in the mood to project into the future and come up with strategies that are going to give you some leverage. You should also set up your strategic planning session effectively to engage everyone and also use the right strategic planning tools. Third, you want to also make sure that your strategic plan is translated into results by making sure that you have some initiatives and leaders that lead these initiatives and hear reports from them regularly to make adjustments and also use some metrics. If you do these things, you could be able to see result right away. I wrote a book called Strategic Age. If you are interested, you can get it from Amazon. And of course, you can also get coaching and consulting. I would love to work with you. We can reevaluate the existing strategic plan that you have. We can audit it and stress test it and see where you have strengths, where there may be some changes that must be done to enjoy the strategic age that you're looking for. Again, I also leave some free resources in the description of this video. Check it out. If you have any question, reach out to us at info@the-A-to-Z-institute.com. Thank you for being here and watching. I look forward to seeing you with another online discussion. See you soon. Bye-bye.